Hi, I'm Sandra Paulsen. This is the next in my series of brief videos for EMDR therapists and clients about special procedures that are needed for working with complex cases. In this brief video, I'm going to highlight a little bit about the early trauma approach. It was originated by Katie O'Shea, who was also, like myself, an EMDR facilitator for many years and practicing since the beginning of time, beginning of EMDR time practically. And she'd seen my work on complex cases, and the two of us collaborated for a decade. And I just published a book in 2017 about the early trauma approach. It's called When There Are No Words, Repairing Early Trauma from the attachment period using EMDR. And really it's used even earlier than that. It's used for, especially for, we know that babies learn, especially towards the end of gestation. Some people have birth trauma, and so we are working to repair that, and without taking a position on whether it's actually remembered or mental constructs acquired later. It doesn't matter as long as we get symptom reduction. So part of what I was working on is how do you apply the early trauma approach for the more complex cases. So in a brief summary of that approach, with non-dissociative clients, there's the preparatory steps include working to develop containment skills, to establish a safe state capacity, resetting the affective circuits, and then proceeding to clear trauma and repair it. And in this procedure, we clear trauma by time frame, beginning from the beginning, because there's no pictures, no narrative, maybe. So we're targeting time frames instead of targeting a fiery car crash or something, because there's nothing to remember in conscious mind, but the body somehow remembers. And so we're working with what I like to call the dust bunnies in the body. And we don't leave a time period until we've repaired it in imagination. That basic procedure is taught to clinicians in a 2-day workshop. Katie teaches some and I teach some, and I have an online workshop for that purpose available through the S. Frankel group. And you can find the link to that on my website, bainbridgepsychology.com. And then the book that I published recently also goes beyond the 2-day workshop, because it includes modifications to the early trauma procedure that are necessary when working with complex cases, because there, especially if someone's dissociative, there might be considerably more stabilization needed, perhaps somatic work. But very important to take the self system into account, to get permission from the honchos, the introjects, and any other heavies, honchos, that would otherwise interfere with successfully doing the clearing and repairing of very early trauma. And you can see in a moment why that might be important. If there's a part of self that's loyal to, just take an example, this is hardly, I'm not trying to say this is always the case, but if the mother of the client was a perpetrator and we're trying to repair infancy, right away we're going to be up against the fact that some parts of the client will be loyal to the mother's point of view, which might have been that if the child wasn't such a brat, everything would be fine, that the client was too much to handle, the baby was too much to handle, and or maybe the mother would say, "You're killing me," or "You're doing this to me," when the baby's just being a baby, having the normal feelings and needs that every baby has, because babies are never guilty, they're just babies. So if the parent was malignant or neglectful, then that's manifest in the client's self system, and there will be parts of the self dedicated to protecting that parent's point of view, and that will interfere with the repair unless we take that into account. So the book goes over some of those special procedures. It seems someone's joined me here. This is Abby. She's a therapy dog. She works with me. So, yes, darling, yes. She likes to chew on my hair. So, the early trauma approach, let's see, what else should I tell you? There's much more to it. It's in the book, When There Are No Words by Paulsen, Paulsen, Sandra, 2017, available on Amazon. And as I said, the 2-day workshop for clinicians is available through the Frankel group, Steve Frankel group. And that link is on my website as well. Thanks so much for listening.